What's up, y'all? It's your girl Deja K, and I'm coming your way back with another video. On this channel, we do all things Christ, mom content, lifestyle, and fun. Because I am on a weight loss journey, I have tried some new foods. Pretty much these foods are foods that I've eaten before, and then there's like one specific food that I haven't eaten. I'm pairing together new things that's going to help with carbs and not heightening your blood sugar. These meals are also pre-diabetic and diabetic friendly, and I just want to hop straight into this video. I'm going to be cooking and showing you guys some meals that I cooked that was really good for my blood sugar, that was really good for my health. It didn't make me feel sluggish, and it was so bomb. So let's hop straight into this video. So the first meal that you're going to see me making is a meal that has sweet potato, avocado, black beans, and salmon. This is a really good meal. It has carbs, fats, fiber, and protein all at the same time, which is a balanced meal. My goal is to have a balanced meal when I'm eating, so that way my blood sugar is stable, and also I am eating healthy, where I'm not going the vegan route, but I'm eating what we would call God's food. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect in doing all of these things. However, I am trying my best to make sure that I'm incorporating the wisdom of the Lord as I'm eating my food. I did test out these things. These foods are also PCOS friendly. So if you are a woman who struggles with PCOS, I would recommend eating things such as this. Sometimes it could be pretty hard and things like that. And if you guys don't know, the reason why I started to do these things is because during my pregnancy, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And ever since that diagnosis, even though that is no longer there, what I decided to do was really focus on my health and really focus on what I'm eating. It put me in a place where I wanted to learn so much about these things. So just continue watching and enjoying the meals that I am making. So after chopping up those sweet potatoes, I add it into a bowl and get to dressing it up with 2 capfuls of vanilla extract. I added cinnamon, and then after the cinnamon, I added sugar-free syrup, just because I didn't want to put much sugar. I'm not saying that you can't eat candy M's, but what I'm saying is that you do not want to overdo it. You know what I mean? So it was freshly dressed. It was well. I added some butter as well. You just want to be careful with what you're pairing with your foods. If you are putting more carbs than anything and sugar and all of these things in your food, it is going to spike your blood sugar. But if you have a balanced meal, then it is not going to spike your blood sugar, and it will be balanced. At some point, it might spike a little bit, but it shouldn't spike a lot. After I get to chopping the veggies that I have here, and I chop those veggies to add them in the salmon that I am going to make. Stay tuned. So now I'm just adding that cubed salmon into the pan, and I love salmon, y'all. And sometimes I bake it, but I'm also adding those veggies that you see me talking about and giving it a little stir. And then after I give it a nice stir up, I'm going to let it sit to cook, and I'll just be placing that lid over the pot. The sweet potatoes are finished. I'm going to be taking it out of the oven, and you're going to see it's still sizzling, which is so amazing because it doesn't look like candy yams, but some healthy sweet potatoes. Next, you're going to see me also just buttering that pan for the 2 cans of black beans that I am also putting on the side. And at the end of this all, you're going to see that I have a well balanced meal. I'll also be adding avocado to my plate. And when I add that avocado to the plate at the end of all of this, it is because I want that healthy fat that is going to not cause my blood sugar to spike. As you can see, I placed that Siracha mayo and we're done. The next meal that I made is quinoa as a form of rice and beans with black beans and stewed chicken. I didn't put any potatoes in this, but your girl is Caribbean and I'm also American. I was born in America, but there is Trini in my bloodline, Trini in my bones. With that being said, I grew up eating a lot of stewed chicken, curry, things like that, oxtail, all of those things, and just loving curry and loving potatoes and loving bread and grains and things like that. Those things also make your blood sugar rise really high, and sometimes it's not helping with your insulin sensitivity. So I got started on these veggies, and I love chopping up veggies and putting them inside of my food. Here I had some garlic and I just chopped those all up, which I love putting garlic when I make my stewed chicken. I don't know, I just feel like fresh garlic gives it that fresh garlic flavor along with the seasoning that you add. And then next I'm going to put some sweet red onion inside of this as well, and I just chop up those white onions as well. So now we have some freshly washed chicken that I washed, and I'm going to be putting chicken broth, and then after that I'm going to be adding all of these amazing seasonings. Watch as I pair all of these together for a flavorful stewed chicken. I also added some tomato paste. This is going to be my first time adding some tomato paste to this stewed chicken, because usually when I make stewed chicken, I don't usually use chicken drums. I only use like wingets and flats, or sometimes thighs. It all depends. But I also usually do it a different way. So these flavors and everything that I'm using is something new. And I decided to add some sazon and just mix all of that up. As you can see, I'm massaging that in thoroughly. And when you look, you see how bomb it looks. Oh, this was so good. I then take a fork and I start patting down, because before I take that stew sauce and put it in there, I want to make sure that I'm doing that. And then after that, once it sat for a little while, I started to flip it over. I was kind of struggling a little bit with this fork, but in the end, everything was flipped over well, and then we were able to add our sauce. what I decided to do was I did get some wisdom from the Lord to try quinoa. Quinoa is similar to rice, but it's more of a circular, and I believe that quinoa is a seed other than a grain. It also has a low glycemic index, so it is not going to bother your blood sugar or just spike it so quickly. The goal for PCOS women or diabetic, pre-diabetic, any of those things is to make sure that you're eating low glycemic foods, you're adding fiber to your food. I just learned some great things about fiber. When it comes to fiber, fiber is a carbohydrate, but it does not break down into glucose, which is so amazing. Now, I want to say this. I am not a dietitian. I am not one of those who knows all of these things. This is me doing research and deciding to apply this to my life. I think even if you're not diabetic, even if you're not pre-diabetic, PCOS, I think it is important to add this to your life, because the reason how people get here is because you don't pay attention to your macronutrients and the ingredients that's in your food. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but at the end of the day, I am making sure that I thoroughly research, and I have actually been enjoying this. Now, don't get me wrong, some things are not always tasty, but these 3 meals here were so amazing, y'all. The next meal is tilapia with cabbage and sausage. Like I said, in all of these meals, these are things that I've eaten before, but I've never paired together, because sometimes we pair things together such as cornbread and all of these things that is just really not healthy for us. And I'm not saying you can't eat it at all. I just think that you should not overindulge and eat once in a blue. So for this tilapia meal, I pretty much went in with seasoning it and I baked it. I decided not to cook it on the stove. I didn't want to go through the issue of my tilapia breaking apart on the stove. So I decided to bake it, and it was so bomb. You're gonna see at the end how I paired it together. If you guys don't know about cabbage and sausage, it is super good. I did use beef sausage. If you're a person who doesn't eat beef, you can pair this with turkey sausage or turkey bacon. I don't eat pork anymore, but when I paired this together, this was the perfect healthy meal with healthy fats, more of a high protein, low carbohydrate meal that would not spike your blood sugar. That will be very well. And I know sometimes for diabetics, people who have PCOS, insulin resistance, and who lack insulin sensitivity, this can be hard, it can be tough, and sometimes you can get discouraged. But the meals that we usually eat, what God exposed to me, is it's actually not normal, and it's not of Him. Pairing all of these foods that won't help us and could harm our bodies is something that God did not intend for us. So I just really wanted to share this with you guys. So here, as you see, I'm just adding those sausages into the pan, and as I add those sausages into the pan, you'll also realize that I didn't put any butter or anything in the pan due to beef provides its own oil, and you don't want your sausage overly oily. Excuse me if you hear my baby in the back. I do have an infant. And also, in the next clip, you're going to see that I already flipped over those sausages, and yes, it has char on it because I like my sausage a little burnt. Now we're adding butter to the pan, so that way we can get started with this cabbage. So I already washed the cabbage, and I'm just going to put it into the pan. Just be mindful that cabbage makes its own juice as well. I did sometime down the line put some chicken broth inside of this, but I also got straight to seasoning it, and this was actually good. I didn't season it too much. I would have preferred to season it just a little bit more, but it still came out good, and it was a great meal. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed all 3 of these meals that I prepared. Like, comment, and subscribe, and comment down below if you would like more videos like this. Bye.